After two gritty games at Madison Square Garden, the Boston Bruins stay in New York, Uniondale, New York specifically, as they take on the very defensively structured New York Islanders, who are extremely defensively tough, but although they do have one of the best young scorers and one of the better young talents in the game in Matthew Barzal. This is the 10th away game of the season already for Boston. We're only at game 14. The Bruins have played 4 home games. Unfortunately, that's generally due to everything going on with the COVID-19 world. That's just kind of the way it is. So, 10th away game, back-to-back nights. Boston taking on New York. Can they pull it off? Can they keep this winning streak alive? They've won their last 5. They've got points in their last 10. Can they keep it going? Find out. Bruins Recap Show. Boston Bruins. Start things off in the first period. It's 2 U's, 2 K's, Tuukka Rask. He takes on Semyon Varlamov for the New York Islanders. Both Connor Clifton, Cliffy Hockey, and Matty Grzelcyk are inactive for tonight. So in at left defense and the top 6, welcome back, or making his first appearance of the season, John Moore finally getting into the lineup. We'll see if anything can come out of him. We go a little bit later on in the first period. 1 minute 4 seconds total in-zone offensive pressure for the Boston Bruins here, as they're just able to hold the Islanders, pin them into their own zone, change the lines on the fly with possession in the zone. Eventually, it's going to be a keep-in from Brandon Carlo, sends it down the boards. David Pastrnak getting a puck battle win against 2 Islanders players, gets it up to Patrice Bergeron pretty much behind the net. Backhand pass to the high slot where Brad Marchand is able to walk into a snapshot, and he does not miss. 1-0 Boston getting the early lead. This game was all about the ebbs and the flows, as the Boston Bruins would have a good chunk of time with possession, with offensive scoring chances, although they didn't really put too much on net. But they would have possession, they'd have time on the attack, and they'd look really good. And then the Islanders would just surge right back, and surge they did as Leo Komarov gets the puck. He sends it around the Boston net, kept in by Roman Polak, who skates down the wall. And this is infuriating if you're a fan of the Boston Bruins, as the Bruins players Patrice Bergeron and Jeremy Lauzon get outworked in front of the net. Polak passes it right in front, and it gets whacked around. Eventually, J.G. Pageau puts it in, makes it a 1-1 hockey game, and you just don't want to see that level of being outworked in front of your own net. That just cannot happen. And speaking of things that cannot happen, a little bit later on, and Scott Mayfield in his own zone with a breakout pass to Brock Nelson. He skates it into the Boston zone, passes it over to Jordan Eberle, who is outside the circle dot, almost damn near close to the boards. He puts it on net, and this is one Tuukka Rask has got to have. You got to make the save in this situation. He gets a little bit of it, but not enough. A little bit of a soft goal here. The Islanders take a 2-1 lead. And Boston played well in the first period. But it's all about the ebbs and the flows. The surge by the Islanders here, they were able to get 2 just unfortunate goals. Outshot the Boston Bruins 15-7 in the first period and take a 2-1 lead going into the second. So we go to the second period, and the Bruins announce that they will be playing with 5 defensemen for the remainder of the game, as Jakub Zboril upper body injury would not return, which is unfortunate, but at least he will have a fair amount of time off before Boston's next game. And this was another period in which the Boston Bruins again were outshot, this time 15-9. But the Boston Bruins, again, for a good chunk of the period, played well. But then the Islanders turned it around and started playing well in their own right. Ends up 3 minutes left in the period, and David Pastrnak just takes a swat at the puck in the defensive zone, ends up corralled by Brad Marchand, and it's a 3-on-2 for Boston. Brendan Carlo, the third man in, he goes where you're supposed to go in that situation, to the front of the net. Brad Marchand passes it over to Patrice Bergeron. He puts it on net, and it goes in. We're tied up at 2. At the end of the second period, we go to the third. In the third period, and the Boston Bruins go shorthanded, and this is just great execution by the New York Islanders power play, as they're able to keep the puck in the zone. They send it down the wall to Jordan Eberle. Eberle over to Anders Lee, and a beautiful execution of a 2-on-1 here, as they get Kevin Miller to commit to Lee, and Lee will pass it right to a wide open Matthew Barzal, and he is not going to miss this very often. Puts the puck in the net. Power play goal for Bar down Barzal. 3-2 hockey game. But it's okay, because the Bruins will get a power play opportunity. Although it was not okay, because I am sick and tired of this 5-forward look from the Boston first power play unit. Marchand and Pajot, they're tied up. The puck is loose. Nick Ritchie and David Krejci both decide to go for the puck. No communication here whatsoever. They end up colliding into each other. A loose puck goes to Leo Komarov, and he is off to the races. And speaking of off to the races, there goes J.G. Pajot, who beats both Pastrnak and Bergeron to the front of the net. 2-on-1. Pajot gets the puck, goes 5-hole on Tuukka Rask. Shorthanded goal. 4-2 lead for the Islanders, and just, I'm sick of it. I can't do this anymore. Get Charlie McAvoy in there. If Matt Grzelcyk's healthy in the next game, get him in there. The Bruins' top power play unit needs a defenseman on there. This 5-forward power play look is just not clicking. It didn't click in the series, the 2 games against the New York Rangers. It didn't click in this one at all. It didn't look good at all. Something needs to change. Maybe change around the players. I really honestly don't know, but something needs to change with the Bruins power play, as it's just not been as effective as it was early on in the season, as they give up their first shorthanded goal of the year. 2 minutes, 45 seconds left in the game, and Boston will pull Tuukka Rask. But like I said, the New York Islanders are defensively stingy, and so Boston doesn't get any scoring opportunity on the 6-on-5 opportunity. And Boston falls here, 4-2 the final to the New York Islanders. The second loss for the Boston Bruins in regulation, again, to the New York Islanders. So that's it. The point streak ends. The win streak ends. Boston getting outshot in this game 42-30. They gave up 42 shots to the defensively structured Islanders team. The Islanders are not known for putting the puck on the net. Anyway, outworked in front, outworked on the penalty kill, outworked on the power play. Just Boston was overall outworked and outmatched by the New York Islanders. You could count it up to, the second night of a back-to-back. You can count it up, but at the end of the day, you got to play a little bit better than that. Anyway, next up for the Boston Bruins, they get a couple of days off, 4 days off, in fact, as they will play, hopefully, Thursday night against the New Jersey Devils if all goes well. Monday's game, of course, being postponed due to COVID protocol. We'll see if that changes, as the New Jersey Devils might still be struggling with the COVID situation. I don't know. We'll keep that updated. And speaking of things that are up in the air, I believe the Philadelphia Flyers now are dealing with some variation of COVID, as are the Buffalo Sabres. So anything could change. And depending on how this game looks on Thursday, if it gets canceled or not, the Boston Bruins may play the entire month of February without a home game. Specifically because their only other slated home game, which is against the Philadelphia Flyers, is the Lake Tahoe Sunday afternoon game, which They're the de facto home team, but again, they're not playing in their own barn. They're playing in Lake Tahoe. Anyway, we'll see. Hopefully the Bruins will play Thursday night against the New Jersey Devils, who played them tough in the early part of the season. We'll see if the Bruins can play any better on the next Bruins Recap Show.